The 2022 NFL draft was honestly by the Chiefs one of the best drafts we've seen in recent years. I mean, you look at how many good players they got. Like, okay, have teams had more franchise altering drafts? Sure, but usually they're picking like first overall and then like fifth overall or something like that. For the Chiefs, who didn't pick in the top 20, they still ended up with Trent McDuffie, George Karlaftis, Brian Cook, who's been a solid center for them, Leo Chenal, who has been an all right linebacker for them. You got Josh Williams and Jalen Watson, two guys who are like really good outside corners for them. Isaiah Pacheco was selected in the 7th round. Like, wow, that's a lot of pieces, and that's a big part of why they went on to win both of the next 2 Super Bowls after that draft. But there's one guy I haven't mentioned yet, and he's someone that you already probably have in your mind, given the fact that you clicked on this video, Skyy Moore, who was selected with pick 54, and I'm not going to sit here and say that he was selected to be a Tyreek Hill replacement, because I think the Chiefs are smart. I think the Chiefs knew when they traded away Tyreek Hill, they weren't getting a guy to replace Tyreek Hill. What they were hoping, though, was to get a guy who can help replace Tyreek Hill, be a piece for the Chiefs, and really it hasn't quite worked out that way. So I kind of want to get into the film, talk about, why it hasn't worked out, why did they think it might work out, why it hasn't worked out, and some flashes and maybe some reasons to believe it still could work out. So let's just get into it. But before I do, I just want to mention I have a movie channel. If you like movies and you want to hear my thoughts on movies, you can check that out. I do film reviews, stuff like that. I have a couple of like director tier lists. I got to make some more of those, but I have some of those on the channel as well, and some just general thought stuff. So if that seems like something that would interest you, check that out. But yeah, let's get into the film about Skyy Moore. So let's start off with some college tape. So first we're going to go to a play like this, which is an over-the-middle route right here for Skyy Moore. That's the way this works. And you see how he's doing a lot of really good stuff, I think. This is part of what got him drafted. I think the criticism was like, oh, is he just a slot receiver? But the positive was, well, he should be a pretty good slot receiver. And that's what he's doing on this play. Not giving away anything that he's doing at this point, but then cuts over the middle pretty well, was able to get enough separation to make the grab. Now, I do think in hindsight you could look at that and say, okay, well, he wasn't getting a ton of separation on this play, like that's maybe mildly concerning, but it was still well ran and still, a relatively good play. Like something like this is maybe a better example where it's, again, a one-on-one matchup right here. This time not going over the middle, but instead cutting more towards the top of the screen. So, when the ball is snapped, quarterback looks over. Again, Skyy Moore, I know it's a little blurry here, but not really giving away where he's going, but then cuts on a dime very well, does get open, and makes the grab. So, okay, this is really good stuff here by Skyy Moore, for sure. So, while I think that these weren't like highlight reel level plays or anything, this is part of why the Chiefs felt solid drafting him in round 2, because it's like, okay, really the criticism was, are you going to be, not can he hit, but he almost was considered like a high floor guy of like, he should be able to at least do this. Will he be able to win on the outside? I don't know. But like, should he be able to do this? Probably. And I should mention, like, he is someone that has had some big moments for the Chiefs. I mean, he had this play in the Super Bowl. It's a play that we saw Kadarius Toney hit on earlier. It's weird that Skyy Moore and Kadarius Toney had the last 2 touchdowns for the Chiefs in this game, but they did, and they were both key factors. But I've circled Moore. You see how he's running towards the bottom of the screen in motion, but then watch what he does. As you see, he cuts back towards the top of the screen, and because of that, no Eagle player picked him up, even though they just did that play on the other side of the field. But hey, they didn't have enough time to really talk about it, I suppose. Really good stuff from Skyy Moore. Like that's what you expected to see more of, no pun intended. So then let's get to the NFL level. So what's going wrong? Like, what's been the issue with Skyy Moore? Well, to be honest, I wouldn't say that it's been like a complete disaster. It's not like he can't make plays, but I think one of the issues is that the kind of high floor plays we've talked about haven't really been that valuable. Like this play, for example, it's, you see where he is on the screen. Watch what he's going to do. As you see, he pulls off the moves that he would pull off pretty well in college, right? Like, that's exactly what got him drafted, and even kind of made a guy miss for a second. Granted, James Bradbury, I don't think tackled anybody last year, but still, some good stuff there by Skyy Moore. But at the same time, it's only really going for 5 yards, and I think that's part of the issue. It's not like Skyy Moore gave you nothing. It's just that what he gave you just really wasn't that valuable a lot of the time. But there was also play like this too, which it seemed like this, I don't know if this is like a common trend, but it is something that happened where it's a one-on-one matchup here against the Packers. When this play begins, you see it right here. So Skyy Moore, I think kind of understandably, is peeling back a little bit. He sees how far off that Packers defender is, but Mahomes wants more yards. Mahomes is trying to make something happen here. So he's pushing the ball a little bit further down the field. Him and Moore not on the same page. And honestly, look at Moore. He kind of just misread that one on top of it. It ends up getting intercepted, whereas I think Moore makes the grab had he just, ran that out. And I remember Mahomes got frustrated at Moore for that. So kind of some plays like that where he would have some negatives, and he wasn't really giving you a lot of positives. And even the positives he was giving you just weren't that, massive. So, okay, what do we make of this? Someone who, again, I'm not going to say has never won, but if you're a PFF fan, he was the 108th graded wide receiver out of 128 eligible players. The year previously, though, he actually did perform better. He was 56th highest graded. So it is possible last year with the injuries and the smaller sample size, it was a worse year. And I think the question is, can he just come back and be a player, right? Because that's what the Chiefs are trying to do with their receiving core. Their number one option is Travis Kelce, so they don't need a receiver to be a number one option. They just need guys who can come in and run their routes effectively. I think that's one of the reasons why they like Justin Watson and keep him around is okay, say what you want about him. He's not a burner, and he's not someone who's going to, you trust against a number one corner by any stretch of the imagination. But do you trust him to run a good setup route? Absolutely. He's a role player, and he plays his role well. Of course, they don't want just role players. They would like receivers that can, beat number two corners and stuff like that as well, or even number one corners if they have to. Marquise Brown has certainly shown the ability to do that in the past, which is why they added him. They, of course, drafted Xavier Worthy, who they hope can use their speed to the advantage. But for Skyy Moore, again, you hear all those names, and it's you just got to be one of those guys. You just got to be a guy who can be helpful. I didn't bring up Rashee Rice, who's obviously really good as well. But, can you just be someone who can come in and get a role, maybe being a slot receiver type guy, and be effective at that? I still think there is some hope there, but I definitely think that in hindsight, the Chiefs are probably looking at that saying, I don't know if you fully lived up to the draft pick, especially when Trey McBride was selected one pick later. That stings a little bit. George Pickens was selected 2 picks earlier. That stings a little bit, but it is what it is. Again, the Chiefs did all right in that draft, and have done all right since then. Skyy Moore, 2-time champion, so it's working out all right for him. But yeah, those are my thoughts. What are yours? Let me know in the comments below. Always love hearing from y'all, and of course, as always, thanks for watching.